guys, welcome back to Fourth Wall Reactions. Today you're finally getting answers to some questions. Yeah, I don't know if anyone even remembers this, but back in the end of July, that was the first year anniversary of my channel, Channelversary. And I made a video saying that I was going to do a Q&A and that I'd answer questions. And I left it up for a good month to let questions accumulate. And I did sit down and answer them. I took an afternoon over a long holiday weekend, September 1st, Labor Day weekend here in the US. And I spent the afternoon reading and answering most of the questions. And by that time it was September 1st, and I really should have planned it better. I should have done the call for Q&A like a month earlier, so I could just use the summertime. I don't know why fall is always so busy. I think even in that video, I was like, I'll be lucky if I get it to you by Christmas. Past that. And the reason for that is just because I prioritized reactions over editing this. I would chip away at this. The reality is that I can do pretty comfortably about 2 reaction videos a week, or any videos a week. 3 has been a challenge, but I was doing that throughout the fall. And in fact, I was actually reacting to 4 shows then, and 2 of the reactions a week were switching off. So yeah, that is why it has taken so long, and it is unforgivably long. I don't even know if some people remember the questions they asked me, though in the video I will be posting them. Anyway, if you were one of the people that asked a question and has waited this long for an answer, I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. But I did think that the priority would be reactions rather than this, so that's my reasoning. Please forgive me. But here it is. Here are the questions and my answers. Yay! So let's jump into the imaginary TARDIS that is this room and go back to September 1st. Some of the questions were about things that were happening around that time, so I think most of the answers are pretty much the same. I hope you enjoy the videos. Plural, because I talk a lot. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to Fourth Wall Reactions. Today I'm taking some time to sit down and check out some of the questions that you guys asked me in my Q&A video, the Channelversary. So first of all, I was going to do this in a different setting with my laptop, but the camera is not as good as the desktop. I just want to give you guys a little change of pace from this. This, where I record, is a guest room / office, which you can't see, it's all off to the side, and storage. Everything in the dresser and the closet, it's all like extra junk. And it's probably the most quiet and private place to record. I look at other channels and I wish I had like a little cute setup and like a dedicated recording space, but I think this gets the job done for now, so I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. Okay, so I took a quick scroll through the questions just to see if there were any duplications, people asking the same question, and I figured the name would be one, because I have not said my name. And honestly, it's no big secret, and I don't mind if everyone knows it. I just don't particularly like my name. I don't really say it unless I have to. And I knew when I started the channel I would not be introducing myself with my name, so there's just been no reason to say it. I've never liked my name. As an adult, I've come to terms with it, but when I was a kid, there was a period of time where we moved around a couple times in a row, and every time I met a new group of kids and they would ask, you introduce yourself, I'd totally just lie, give a separate name. Give a totally different name. Susan, Catherine. And it would last for like a day until my mom or my brother would come out and call me, and these kids would be like, why? My lies were revealed. And And it's not a name where there's like a really good nickname for it. I mean, my friends come up with terms of endearment and little nicknames, but there's no like nickname that I would use, like Kate for Catherine, or, just like that's an actual name. So yeah, I don't mind if you know it. I don't mind if you use it. It's Monica. Just don't like saying it. If your name is also that, I apologize for dissing your name. So you can use it. It's fine. I will not be saying it again. Okay, so I think that, other than the channel name, was the only, real sort of duplicate. So we'll just start off with that one. All right. If I pronounce your name, if I mispronounce it, I apologize in advance. This first one, I'm going from the very first comment that was put on there up to the last. Tofinlandius. I hope I said it right. Here's a few. What are your top 5 favorite shows? Oh no. Are there any shows you'd like to react to but haven't yet? What kind of music do you like? If you had to pick one place to travel to, what would it be? Okay. Top 5 favorite shows. Number 1 has to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think it always will be Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know if I should take the time to say why. So I'll in the interest of time, I'll list them. And by the way, this list may change and it may reorder except for the top one. And because I have a lot of love for a lot of shows, and that's why it's hard to choose. It really is hard to choose. It's tough to say whether Buffy's spin-off show, companion show, I don't even want to spoil you guys with the name just in case, is one of my favorites. Maybe by default it kind of has to be because it kind of goes along with it to an extent. That's like, I don't know. This is so hard. I do have an affinity for genre shows, so a lot of them are sci-fi fantasy. Farscape is up in the top 5. Battlestar Galactica, the reimagining, but also since the original, I'm older, as you can see from gray hairs, the original 70s version, this is like my childhood. Jane Seymour was my idol as a little girl. So I'll pair it with that. I know that's on nobody's list of favorite TV shows, but it's kind of a nostalgia thing. And it goes along with the really, really, really good Battlestar Galactica. I love the Gilmore Girls. I'm a big Gilmore fan. I wasn't when it was on. I kind of got attached to it a little bit later. But it's very witty. I really love dialogue-heavy shows. And shows that have great characters, and Gilmore Girls is all that. Right now, my gut instinct for the 5th one is to say The Walking Dead, but I don't watch it anymore, so it's weird that I would say that. But I came to that show a little late as well. I don't love gore, and I love zombies, but funny zombies. Like Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite movies, so as long as the zombies are humorous. So I never had any intention of watching The Walking Dead. That's a whole other story. But like seasons 1 through 6, I would say, is astonishing TV. It's like, just off the top of my head, those are my top 5. Everything but Buffy may change. And there are other shows that I absolutely adore and I have on DVD and Blu-ray and will always keep. So there's that. Are there any shows you'd like to react to but haven't yet? Yes, there are. I know I say it a lot in the Doctor Who reactions, but I'm really wanting to watch and react to Torchwood. Sarah Jane Adventures, I want to give it a shot. I'm not sure how interested I will be in it, but I'll find out when I watch one. Torchwood, just from knowing Jack so well, or what I know of Jack from the main show, I really want to watch that. right now I'm wrestling with whether or not to react to the Dark Crystal. And people have been giving me lots of really good suggestions and things that I have wanted to check out for a long time, or things that are coming up that I would like to check out. So, I mean, there are a lot of them. And actually, one of the things about starting a reaction channel is everything, you start to get the urge to want to react to everything, and you just physically cannot. There's just not enough time. So sometimes it's tough to say, I'm just going to watch this show. I'm just going to watch it. What kind of music do I like? My parents are musicians. My father has passed away, but he was a musician. My mother still is a musician. I was raised in a music household. They are classical musicians. So I was raised with that. And then I branched out. I pretty much like a little bit of everything. And I do mean everything. If you just put my iTunes library on shuffle, it's insane. Like, it'll go from Bach to Tori Amos to Duran Duran to Peter Gabriel to Sting to Wagner. I'm a big fan of shows, certain musical theater shows, certain musicals, certain operas. You know, I trained as a classical singer. Just a little bit of everything. I can always find one or two songs in every genre. I'm not huge on country music. I'm not huge on rap. But having said that, there's rap and country on my playlist. So I also really am a huge fan of movie scores and TV scores. So in reactions, I'm always noting, even if I don't mention it in the commentary. The score is so important to a story. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place. If I had to pick a place to travel to, what would it be? So I'm in the US. I'm in Southern California. I have been to almost all 50 states. I would like to set foot in all 50 states. Internationally, I just have either not had the money or time or opportunity to go very much. I've visited both of my lovely neighbors, Canada and Mexico. I have been to England 3 times, Scotland once, and I've been to Japan for work. And that's it on the international front, which is a shame because it's been a lifelong dream to travel. So picking one place is going to be kind of hard. I mean, really just put all the countries' names on pieces of paper, throw them in a hat, and just pick one. I've always been obsessed with going to Ireland, which is weird because I've been to England 3 times, which I should have planned a trip to Ireland along with that, but duh. I always wanted to go to Europe, all the countries of Europe, Eastern Europe, Australia, New Zealand, China, I don't know, India. I want to visit them all. But probably if I had to pick one, I'm going to say Ireland just because the obsession has been forever. So that's that. I feel like I talk too much. What do you think? Dudes, that is only one question, and there are like 30 here. Okay, this is from Troyboyblue. Hello. What historical figure or event would you like to travel back in time to visit? My answer would be to travel back to the 1980s. You were born in 94, but always loved the 80s era. You can't beat their music. I'm biased. I grew up in that 80s era, so yes, I agree with you. Yeah. The 80s. What historical figure or event would I travel back in time to visit? Well, the one that's popping into my head right now, it's just because of that episode in Doctor Who with Martha and the Shakespeare Code. That specific trip would be amazing to me. But there are so many historical events. I feel like my answers are just kind of obvious. Like, I don't know, would you travel back to see the fall of the Roman Empire, or Pompeii, or the birth of Christ, or Pearl Harbor, the Kennedy assassination, maybe what happened to the dinosaurs? I don't know. There are so many answers in my head right now, but I think I'm just going to go with the Shakespeare one. Travel back, historical England, see some bona fide, genuine Shakespeare. I'd be really curious. I'm such a theater nerd. I'd be so curious about, there are a lot of articles about the pronunciation and what all of that sounded like. And I would be so nerdy about that. I would be, yeah. So that's what I would do. And the 80s were fun, by the way. Josef Schiltz had answered that question. Carl Sagan, I would try to warn him about the myelodysplasia and the subsequent pneumonia. I don't know whether it would do any good, but I would try anyway. That is always a tempting thing, I think. Go back in time and give someone a heads up that would save their lives. Whether it's a historical figure or like someone that you know, like Rose and her father. And I absolutely understand the urge. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Thank you for those questions. All right. The next one is from Tazmon Sims. Hello. If stuck in a dire situation and lives may be on the line, who would you rather have on your squad? The Stalkers Horde plus 11 plus Steve plus Hopper plus the ghost of Bob. Or Season 7 Scooby Gang. Cordelia, Tara, and Oz. No G.I. Joe boyfriend guy ever. Aw. I do not have the hate for Riley that most people have. I'm just saying. But I understand people's anti-Rileyness. Or the Doctor, Rose, Martha, and Donna with Jack bringing the sandwiches, but no Mickey. Okay, fine, Ricky can come along. No, I want Mickey. Or Jessica Jones, an open bar tab, and Trish is only via email. Trish would have to be only via email in any scenario. Would it depend on the threat? What? Okay, this is a different question. I'm gonna break this down. So, if stuck in a dire situation, oh my God. You know what? I think it would depend on the threat. It might be the first one. It might be the first one, if only because, well, Hopper and Steve are actually pretty badass. 11. Her powers can be applied to any situation. Buffy's powers are very specific to the supernatural, so it would depend on the apocalyptic. It would depend on the situation, I think. It would be a toss-up between the Buffy gang and the Doctor Who gang, because they are each, I think, would be good in apocalyptic situations. But I think 11 and her gang would be good in any scenario. So I'm going to choose that one. I would rather have them on my squad. But I would love to hang out with every single one of these gangs. Particularly Jessica in an open bar tab. I don't know that Jessica would like me at all, but if I could share the open bar tab, hey. Why is it so hard for me to find apple jelly, not apple butter? I don't know. With all the other fruits that they turn into, although I guess apple jelly would be apple sauce. I don't know, but with all the fruits they turn into jelly, I don't know. Why do people order all kinds of different pizzas for a party when everyone knows you are going to be stuck with all these half-eaten pizza pies that no one wants to take home? Because some people like living off of leftovers. The host does. I don't know. That is a good question. Why do people hate the other spices? Like spices other than pepper and salt? I don't know why they do. I love spicy food, so I think people are missing out who don't like the other spices. They should like the other spices. They should try the other spices. I say this not being a foodie. I'm not a foodie at all, but I do like flavorful, spicy food. Do woodchucks worry about how much wood they are chucking? I don't know, but I asked Siri that question once, and I can't remember what she said, but I asked how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a wood, yeah. And I think once she just gave like a sassy answer to just shut me up. And once she actually tried to answer the question in a very sarcastic way. So I suggest asking Siri and seeing what she says. If you had a really cool superpower, would that make you more likely to be a villain? I don't think so. But perspective is everything. So I wouldn't do anything to harm anyone. At least not deliberately. So, what superpower would you have? I'm going to be very unimaginative and go with the classic of flying, just because in my lifetime, I've always had the best like flying dreams where you can really feel that you are flying and what you are doing. And I think I would like for that to be a thing. I know it's kind of basic, but I'm going to stick with that one. And you would like the one Peter had in the show, Heroes. That is a really good one. That is a very good one. Where you could just take other people's powers by being right. Yes, yes. And yes, not rogue. She had to touch people, and that is how you get cooties. Yes, that's true. And she would accidentally harm people when she touched them. So that's, yeah. I'd much prefer Peter versus Rogue. I'd much prefer Peter's power. Although with Peter, you have less control over what you absorb. So, you may end up with powers that you don't want. I don't know. Or that you had no idea were going to come to you. So, that would be a thing. But I like that answer. That's a good answer. Thank you for those questions. Victor Walters. Hi. Happy channel anniversary. I found your channel when you were still doing the Luke Cage season 2 reactions. They were awesome. Thank you. I remember. We were... I'll read the rest of your thing. I hope your channel keeps on growing. Thank you. Congratulations again. My question, what upcoming movies or shows are you most excited to see this year? Very good question. And I remember we were talking about... Like, just as I was wrapping up Luke Cage, we were talking about how they were all systematically getting canceled and, like, speculating on whether they would come back in some, like, on a different platform or what the deal was. And right now, as I'm answering these questions, we've had Comic-Con and the Disney Expo. So there's going to be the Disney streaming, and we get to know that there are certain shows that are coming out, you know, the Winter Soldier and the Falcon and all of that. And none of these, like the Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica, they're all just... I'm very disappointed about that because I think they were really great shows. I really had so much fun with Luke Cage season 2 being so amazing and Daredevil and everything. So yeah, you've been there from the beginning. Thank you. I'm glad you're still here. The upcoming movies or shows, you know, earlier this year when I was out for my back, there were a whole bunch of movies that I had wanted to see that were coming out and I was really excited about, and then I couldn't get to the theater. So I still have to catch up with those. I remember I was so excited for the Tolkien movie. I was excited for Shazam and Zach Levi. I'm going to have to see that still. I have so much to catch up on. And at the moment, I'm super excited because Dark Crystal the Netflix series just came out this weekend. And I'm wrestling with whether or not to react to it or just binge it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm doing. And they're ready to be watched. And I'm still waffling. So I'm sure there are other movies that are coming up that I'm excited about. But those are just ones. Those are just the things off the top of my head that I had been excited about and I missed because I was sick. And then the one that's out right now that I could be watching. But I'm indecisive. There you go. Okay, so thank you for that. Johann Diaz asks or says, I have various requests. Let us get to know you better by telling us more about yourself. What's your name? I don't think you've ever mentioned it, but I might have just been stupid or missed it. You are not stupid. You did not miss it. Where are you from, etc. I'm gonna read the rest of it. Though you are still on season 3 and now I'm on series 4, do you feel like Doctor Who is on track to becoming one of your top shows? Yes. Has it lived up to your expectations? There's a third one. Do you play video games? If so, what kind? So I'll do the second one. So I do feel like Doctor Who is on track to becoming one of my top and favorite shows. I think for me, one of the things that I really, really, really love about it are the characters. I think that the Doctor himself or herself is just such a unique and specific character. And I've only seen the 2 actors portray him so far. I don't know what it is about him. It's just the possibilities of the Doctor are just so fascinating, and he's just an icon, right? He's just such an iconic character. He's the best. And, I know I had a lot of Mickey love, and I'm really loving Donna, and I've loved Martha and Rose, and even like the little adipose. I love the creativity of the creatures, and there's so much to love about the show. So yes, I feel like because I've only seen a portion of it, I can't really place it on a scale, but it's up there. So, so I'm really glad that I started to watch it, and I'm relieved at how much I like it. I think I was a little hesitant in the beginning. I think one of the reasons that I watched the whole first season before I started posting reactions is I'm like, oh, I don't want to get, 8 episodes in and then be like, meh. I had to be sure that I was going to like it, and I did, so. Do I play video games? If so, what kind? I do not play video games. If I like something, if I enjoy something, I will re-watch it, re-listen to it, reread it, anything it. I tend to be a little obsessive that way. Like if I love something, I'm just in it. I have always been hesitant to play video games because of that. I know this about myself. If I start playing video games and I really love it, then no one will ever see me again. Ever. I will be constantly in the game. I played video games with my brother when I was younger, and we would have these marathon sessions, like when you're a kid and you just, you can do that. You can spend 4 days in a row, like, playing video games with your brother. So I'm sure that nowadays, because I'm so old, nowadays with the technology being so amazing and creativity and just, I would probably get sucked into the video game world and just never surface. It's a slippery slope with me. So that was a long answer. Short answer is no, I don't. And back to the first part. Where am I from? Well, I'm from America. Honestly, I'm kind of from all over. I'm from the Midwest, but I grew up in the Midwest partially and in the South partially, and spent a lot of time in the Northeast of the U.S. And I, as an adult, lived in Manhattan. I always feel a certain affinity for each of these areas because I spent parts of my life in, and I have relatives in those areas and stuff. So I tend to pick up whatever accent is most strong around me. So when I was moving as a kid, my accent would change. And when I lived in the South, I had a little Southern accent, which will occasionally pop out. My father was from the South, and whenever he would talk with somebody from home, it would just devolve. It would just sink right back into that accent. And I still say y'all a lot. So if y'all hear me. And sometimes if I get emotional about stuff or angry about, sometimes that accent will just pop right out and I'll be like, hey. So that's one little thing about me and where I'm from. I don't know what else to say. I am really bad at, I'm the worst in interviews. Like that open-ended question, tell us about yourself. Like, I don't know. I don't know what people would want to know about me. I'm going to let this question sit, and who knows, maybe with my editing, I'll stick some things in. I'll re-record something. I'm not sure. I don't do well with open-ended questions. So that's telling you something about myself, is I have a complete inability to answer open-ended questions. Especially when they're about me. All right. But thank you for those questions. This one I might get wrong. I apologize. Tomzakk Azadrym. Did I come close? Got a few questions for you. I am here. How come you didn't watch Doctor Who before you launched your channel? That's almost blasphemy. Yeah, I think that's why I launched my channel. Why is your channel called that way? What's my name? How would you react if Jack Harkness suddenly started flirting with you? I think I am blushing. Oh, lots of kisses from France. Oh, merci. I don't speak French. I'm really bad at it. Okay. Now I'm thinking of Jack. Okay, I'm going to go back to the first one. How come I didn't watch it? For being so into sci-fi, I don't know how aware I was of Doctor Who growing up, just as an American. I mean, my father, I sort of inherited my love of science fiction and fantasy and genre stuff from my father, who was a huge science fiction fan, and we always had Star Trek on in the house as I was growing up and everything. Big Star Wars fan. All of that. So we had that in common. He, I don't think, really knew a whole lot about British TV. So the Doctor Who phenomenon had kind of skipped our house. When New Who came on, when it premiered in 2005, I had a colleague of mine who was like, I'm shocked that you haven't seen or heard of Doctor Who. And I know that there was a Doctor in the 80s that was on TV, but it just, I don't know. It just wasn't on my radar. And so I did watch that first episode, the pilot, Rose. I watched it, and I remember that I liked it, but it didn't bowl me over. And I said, yeah, I'll probably watch more. And I just never did. And then I think because it was so long running, I just felt very intimidated about the amount that I would have to catch up to. Just before YouTube was even a thing, just of catching up with the show. And it was always on like a distant to-do list. Yeah, I have to watch that. I'll watch it sometime. I would get friends just saying, I cannot believe you have not watched this. This is so in your like scope of what you love. Yeah. It is blasphemy. You're right. But I'm really glad I'm watching it now. So there you go. Why is my channel called that way? Good question. I had no idea what my channel was going to be called. I think when I named the channel, I just did like a word association exercise and just sort of started writing down words associated with stuff that I liked, or, genre things that I enjoyed, or things that had to do with TV, like the mechanics of TV or film or theater, and there were other contenders. There was a long list of words to choose from. And fourth wall, the fourth wall it started with theater. That's the most historical thing, but of course applies in TV and movies, of this separation, the fourth wall between someone who is, well, I'm not performing when I do this, but that's what the fourth wall is. It's a term. It's a theater, TV, film term that references sort of that fourth wall, these two being one wall, second wall, back wall, and then this is the fourth. That's like the invisible barrier between whatever is being presented and an audience. And you get that term, breaking the fourth wall. Ferris Bueller did it. Deadpool does it all the time. When whoever is presenting something breaks the fourth wall by direct address, which is what I'm doing right now. I thought it was appropriate for what I was doing, and I thought it was particularly applicable to a reaction channel. I do wish I had said it out loud a lot of times before settling on that name, because early on, fourth wall, I would sort of trip over it a little bit. So that's why. You know my name. How would I react if Jack Harkness started flirting with you? Oh, I would like to say that I would be cool about it, but I would not be, because I'm a giant dork. I would respond exactly how everyone else responds. I, in fact, just finished watching... I just finished watching episode 12 of Doctor Who Series 4 when Donna first saw Jack Harkness. I would probably be exactly like that. I mean, it's Captain Jack. It's weird because he's very charming. I myself do not respond to charm. I'm very suspicious of charm. Charm to me is like, what do you want? What are you after? Very suspicious person. That's why I have my suspicious face a lot of the time. But his personality is just so winning. I'm probably going to be a mess when I watch Torchwood, so that's going to be fun. Oh, thank you for your questions. Lots of kisses from America. I'm going to adjust this really quickly. There you go. I just adjusted the angle, so hopefully that doesn't do anything else. Adam Parker. Hello, Adam. Congratulations on your first year of YouTube. Thank you. I always look forward to your videos. Thank you so much. Were you inspired by any other channels to start your own? Yes. Have you made contact with any other YouTubers? I'll rewind. Yes, there is one channel specifically that inspired me to do this, and he's well known. It's Torchwood Boy, and I had watched reactions for a handful of years, and never once thought, oh yeah, I want to do that. I never once thought that. Partially just because I didn't know if I wanted to put myself out there, but I used to I used to edit music videos, fan vids, years ago, and I know how time-consuming working with video can be, and how persnickety it can be, and there were lots of reasons why I just thought, I'm never gonna do a reaction channel, but I love watching them. And his channel I had been watching for a long time. He did a lot of the same shows I enjoy watching. And I don't know if he was like the first one to start reacting to Buffy. He was the first one I saw who started reacting to Buffy, of people I was already watching. And it was just such a joy to relive my favorite show through somebody else's eyes and see them experience it for the first time. And I really loved that. And then I knew from his name that he was clearly a fan of Doctor Who and Torchwood. His starting to react to Buffy just sort of inspired me to start the channel with Doctor Who. So that was the inspiration. I don't know him. We have not talked. I know that he is taking a hiatus. I hope he's okay and I wish him well. I really enjoy his channel. And from what I can see, he seems to be a very cool person. Have I made contact with other YouTubers? You know, other than comment sections, no. And certainly not any of sort of the larger channels that I had been following for all these years. Before I created my channel, I would comment. I still comment on other people's reactions and stuff. So I've had interactions with people in the comment section, and actually starting this channel, what's been great is discovering more reaction channels, because there have been people who have commented and I have seen that they have their own channels. And so I've gone and checked those out. So I've actually been able to discover new YouTubers that way, which I've really enjoyed. I feel like I babbled my way through that, and I hope it's coherent in the end. Got to put my editing hat on for that one. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry. This next one is Bhillzebub. I like that. What show or movie would you like to forget about so you could react to it with no prior knowledge? That is a great question. I actually, normally I would be sitting here racking my brain, but I actually have immediate answers for both of them. I'm so proud of myself. What TV show? It would be Farscape, hands down. It'd be tempting to say Buffy since it's my favorite show, and to re-experience it would be amazing. But with that, like if I could recreate the experience of watching Buffy in the era that it first came out, because I think it's amazing that people are experiencing it now. To really appreciate it 100% was to watch it in the era that it came out in. I had just never seen anything like it. I'd never seen stories told that way on TV. Only in written fiction, in novels. I feel like now I want to do a whole video on why I love Buffy so much. I feel like I should do that sometime. But blah, 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 blah. So the answer would be Buffy if it were going back in time and watching it then. To erase my memory of a show right now, in this moment, it would be Farscape. And I wish there were more Farscape reactors out there. I know it's a show that it's a very particular show. It's not mainstream. I don't think a whole lot of people would be on board with it, but it was so unique and creative and unusual, and it had humor and it had drama and it had heart, and it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And I love it so dearly. And I think that it unlike Buffy, it doesn't matter when you watch it. It's going to still be totally mind-blowing regardless of the era that you watch it in. That would be the show. And if you have not seen Farscape and you feel like starting a reaction channel, I will watch it. Movie would be The Matrix. That would be. I don't think I saw The Matrix in the theaters, and I think that is exactly where I should have seen it. I think that it introduced a whole new visual language with that groundbreaking effect. So I would love to erase my mind of this knowledge, wipe my eyes, and go see it for the first time in a theater, like on IMAX or something. Oh, that would be amazing. So Those two. What are yours? You should leave them in the comments below. Thank you for that question. That's a great question. Fixter 90803, happy anniversary. I really enjoy your Doctor Who reactions. Thank you. Sometimes I do not take compliments well. I always deflect. I'm not a good compliment taker. So I'm trying to accept compliments better. I don't know. Okay. On to the next question. Alex, hi, hope you're doing well. I've got a couple of questions to ask. What are your favorite villains from Doctor Who other than the Daleks or Cybermen? I have an immediate answer. What has been your least favorite episode so far? Will you be reacting to Classic Who at any point in time? From what I gather, Voyage of the Damned has been uploaded onto Patreon. Yes. This was a little while ago. So relating to that, have you listened to any of Kylie Minogue's songs before? Yes, I have. I'm gonna work my way back up because so Kylie Minogue, I'm a child of the 80s, and so I think her most globally famous song, The Locomotion, was in my ear for a long time. So that's where I know her from. I can't say that I'm very familiar with all her other work. I know she's done a lot. I know she's really prolific. But that song, having been part of my childhood and my growing up experience, you gotta do The Locomotion. So yes, I knew of Kylie Minogue. So it was really cool to see her in this context. And I think the only other thing I've seen her in on screen was she had the bit part in Moulin Rouge. I was like, oh, that's Kylie Minogue. She's a little fairy. Hey, look at that. So yeah, I knew who she was. So it was really a treat to see her in this way. So I think she did a great job. And she was adorable. I hate that she died. Not that she died. I hate that Astrid died. Start a rumor. Kylie Minogue. Yeah, she was really cute. I will be reacting to some Classic Who. I know I've said it this whole year, and I always hope that I get extra time, and I never do, which kills me because I really would see, and the more that I get into New Who, the more I would like to see Classic Who. And now that I have seen The Master, I am even more curious about different versions of him played by different actors. So yes, the more I see of the new stuff, the more I want to see of the older stuff. I always feel bad that I can't promise when it's going to happen, but I can tell you it is going to happen. It will happen. It's just a question of logistics and time, but it will happen. Speaking of The Master, what has been your least favorite episode so far? It was The Sound of Drums. And I think it was because of The Master. Having said that, I do think there were a lot of great things about that episode. So, it's like the least favorite episode of Doctor Who is already greater than, sort of just a run-of-the-mill episode of another TV show. You know what I mean? So it's like even the least favorite episode is still really is good. And my favorite villain is the Slitheen. And, it's interesting that these two questions are kind of asked, because if you had asked me, say, at the end of the first season, my least favorite episode would have been Aliens of London. And the Slitheen were a part of that, and yet they are my favorite villain. I think also because of that. I don't know. I have to say the Aliens of London was a huge turning point early on when reacting to this show. Because the first 3 episodes I saw, I really enjoyed, I really loved. They were really good. And then I hit Aliens of London. And I was like, what? What is going on? And I have a very distinct memory of doing that reaction and thinking, I don't know. I'm now unsure of this show. What is the show going to be? Is it going to be more like the first 3, or is it going to be more like this? Where is the trend going? But I had committed myself, my own personal goal, to do 1 full series and just check it out and make my judgment then. So when it came time to react to World War III, I told myself, just have an open mind, just enjoy the experience, just go with it, just see what it has to offer. And I had so much fun with the next episode, with the second part of the Celine. I laughed my ass off, and it was just an enjoyable experience. So they are my favorite villains at a real turning point for me very early on in the show of to watch or not to watch. And I'm a sucker. I just love their big eyes and the big squishy cheeks. I just love them. And then later in Boomtown when Margaret came back, I just, yeah. Slitheen. So yeah, those are my answers. Thank you for those questions.